the real thing is that no, I'm a handyman. I work with some people. Some of them are politicians, and some of them too are regular worker. They maybe some people work for the government, and some other work as a contractor also. But I have this man I've been working with for some years. There's something I really want to understand. For me, in this part, like, if some certain things exist, or I should, so that I should be careful about some certain people, and or I should just live a normal adventure life. I really want to get another view about it. Like, there's this man I work for, the politician. So I don't really like the way he treats me. Based on, because we've come a long way, he always like trying to take advantage of the relationship, and trying to manipulate, intimidate me all the time. But sometimes I just let go. And up to this point, I just said no, I wouldn't just let him always have his will like that. So I left the job because of the way he's always bullying me, and intimidating me, ask me, pay me less, and ask me to do more jobs. So this time I left his work, and I took on another work, and I started working. So he met me somewhere when I was working. He said something that he was going to curse me, like cast a spell on me. I don't. So I was just laughing, and I was thinking it's a joke. He was going to. So everybody just laughs and say, "Please, oh, don't curse him, oh, don't cast spell on him." Oh. Like, I was thinking it's a joke, but because I know, I have this confidence that since I'm on this path, that such negative things cannot work for me. I sing the NUUU all the time. I read my notebooks. I have Kama book. I have notebook 3, 2, and 6, and some other notebooks. Although I don't have them up to notebook 9, but I just read the ones I have. I I'm always coming to Skype. I try to post experience, talk to people around. So I I'm always around this the know you the no presentation, and build myself around the always singing the know you. But this time after this man said that thing, within that the space of 2 months, I've been going through so many things. Like, some other people, we don't have any, there's no issue. They'll just call me and terminate some deals. Some people just went out. Some, like the last experience, I was having this agreement with somebody. We were supposed to travel. I leave my town to another city to do to start a work for him. And then I didn't have anything, like no money on me. I really need the job. So when I called him through the phone, he said he was going to call me, that he is not ready yet. So the next thing, he called my other workers, my boys. Like, I have so many people that work with me. And then the next thing, he called my boy send him the money I demanded for to start coming to site. As in, I was like confused, like, why are you going through my back to talk to my boy instead of talking to me? Like, what is happening? So the next thing, he started shouting, as in we had confusion everywhere. Like, I was like, this on a normal ground, this man is not always behaving like this. He's always a nice person to me. And how come everything is just happening at the same time? Confusion everywhere. I'm losing clients, people I work for. I'm just having problems here and there. Ever since that man made that comment, what is happening? I always do my NUUU. I just took the opportunity, like, okay, I was reading my the Karma book, and based on busy schedules, I'll always come back at night and read one or two chapters and do my NUUU section and sleep. So this time I just took the opportunity. Oh, maybe the real guide want me to study more. So I just used the opportunity. I read it till I noticed it's 90 something percent, 90 something chapters. So I I read up to nine, almost up to, as in it's remaining two chapter that I've I've read, and every day one problem or the other is just happening. As in, I was just wondering why, what is happening. Is it what this man said, or or another thing is happening, or it's just because it's just a coincidence? Maybe the man said something and it was time to move ahead for me, that I'm trying to face another adventure to move ahead, or is the real guy trying to show me something else? I was really confused. I didn't know how to go about it. So I was contemplating that um the real guy should show me how to come out of this. So last night I had this dream about almost in the morning. So I I saw myself in a construction site. So the work that was going on was, they were trying to make German floor, a very solid German floor, where the iron bender is trying to make a mat on top of it, and throwing hard cuts to make the floor very solid. But they already have this, I don't know what they call it over there, but we know it as concrete stamp. That is what they call it here. So they already have it on the ground, and it's polished, because this is very expensive over here to do that floor, and it's a very beautiful floor. And they were making a solid floor on this beautiful one. I was like, what is going on now? Why are you condemning this floor for this other one? And the solid construction that was going on, like, it's as if they want to make that place a a a warehouse where heavy duty machines can go in. But this place is just a private home, a compound, that you can just, a man that has this house will just come out and have maybe one or two cars, to parking space to use that place for. It's not as if it's a company or warehouse that they are making this kind of floor for. So I was really, I didn't know why they were making such floor for this kind of house. Then I I woke up. Waking up, I was still thinking about it, wondering what kind of construction was that on a house, a living house. So something just tell me that the real guys, the inner, they are trying to make a solid floor for me. I was so when I got that intuition, I was like, wow, is the I is this real? Like as soon as I got that inner knowledge in me, like I was really satisfied. I was okay. Well, it's okay. Let them go on. So that was as in it gave me this inner peace. Like I was like, okay, I should share it. But there's this thing I want to really ask about it. Like, is it possible if I'm in this part, um, they can they can cast spell on me and they affect me up to this level. So I'm asking now, is it like is what that man said to me that time? Is it really working? Did he cast? Can he? Is it possible that if I'm doing this, can anybody cast spell on me or something? I want to understand. Or if it's possible, like what is normal in Africa, yeah, people trying to get into some other people's space, trying to uh, tap line or um, bring negative power into come into try to get into your space. And then when I was in the corporation, they asked there's a certain spiritual exercise they will ask you to do. Maybe you sing what is that called? Um, is it they say the spiritual name of Harry Harold Cleb now so when you sing it and sing the Hue word for 15-20 minutes, that is how you get over people trying to apply you with black magic. So I wanted to know if, because I read in the notebook that uh, you shouldn't think about that the protection is automatic. So me, I'm always having this awareness that my protection is automatic. So I wouldn't even think about if anybody trying to use black power on me, that it's automatic. You can it can't get to me. So I'm trying to know if it's possible it can really get to me, or if it gets to me, what will I do? Is there any other thing other exercise I can do more than the NUUU session?
I think Jeremy's got some experiences with that, with black magic and spells. Don't you, Jeremy?
Yes, I actually do have an experience with black magic and spells. Do you want me to share it?
Yes, please. Might help Grace.
Yeah, go on. I'm listening. I want you to share.
Okay. Let's see. I see which one. Okay. Yeah, because there's a few of them, but I see which one. So, anyways, um, this experience was very interesting. It almost started like you might say like an outer body experience, but it wasn't necessarily so much a projection, just a viewpoint. Well, anyways, I was laying in my bed and I started to fall asleep and whatever, how it goes. And I got a view of this individual. I had very distinct perception that I recognized this individual, somebody maybe that I knew or whatever, or maybe even past life sort of connection. And so I was to face it because they still are into this and whatnot. But anyways, what they were doing was this individual was wearing a brown cloak with a type of gold trim on it, or like a bronze trim on it. And they were on their both knees, and they had this symbol drawn on the ground. And they had all bunch of red candles surrounding this sigil on the ground. And in there, they had my picture, a picture of myself. I don't know if it was a little boy picture of myself or whatever, but this isn't the first time something like this has happened. So I used to get really creative and even abrasive myself and would attack these individuals and so on. But I sort of learned, I became more aware, a better way to put it, I became more aware to where I did not do this. And so as I saw this individual going through this ritual or trying to get it started, I walked up to them. And they didn't pay any attention to me at first. They were kind of fidgeting, moving stuff and positioning things, getting it all ready. And I asked the individual, I said, "Can I help you?" Or something to that effect. And they kind of just looked at me like, "What do you want, kid?" You know, kind of like, you know, because I look like just a kid or whatever. So they kind of did that hand motion, you know, when you shooing a dog or you're shooing a cat, you kind of flick your hand back and forth using your wrist. Well, as they did that to me, I remember I kind of just stood there. I didn't walk away. I stood there and I kind of just watched them, and they still didn't really pay attention to me. And I think I asked them again, and they kind of just said like, "Get lost," you know, basically something like that. I said, "Okay, whatever." And then in that very moment, Rebazar appeared behind me, and it was kind of funny. He had his sleeves rolled up, and he had like these big old forearms, and he had his arms crossed. And when he had his arms crossed, or just his overall beingness, his beingisness, it scared this individual. They looked up at me, and they looked like they had saw a ghost. And when I looked at their face, they had this like black paint going over their eyes and covering their forehead. Well, anyways, they started to, even though they were on their knees, they fell to their butt. Like they jumped back so hard, and they started to back away. And I kind of remember just watching them. I wasn't upset or angry or whatever. You know, I didn't have an emotional, there wasn't an emotional aspect to it for myself. So anyways, but what was very interesting, as this individual became afraid in their own particular world and consciousness, as they started to run away, they were actually running out of my house. The whole, because initially we were just in this black area. There was nothing else to it. I was just seeing this person in their setup. So it was kind of really objective. And then it became my personal self home on the real side, which is like the personal self. So it's like an agreement that I had with this person, you might say. So anyways, they let themselves out of the front door. And I had this habit of, on the real side, where if anything that I found in my house that was abrasive or things like that, I would always toss it out. You know, you could just toss it out, toss it in the trash, whatever it is, burn it, whatever. But I would always lock the door. I would close and lock the door. And I kind of became aware that I'm not really locking stuff out. I'm locking myself in. I'm locking myself into this personal consciousness with this sort of, you might say, illusion of safety. Like, oh, I'm safe because the door is locked and blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, it goes along those lines of comfort, like a comfort zone. Well, I opted not to do that. And so I followed this individual out into the street. And they were kind of, you know, making their way down the street. And I remember I wanted to run up to them, but by the very fact that I had the intent to approach them, it seemed that I just was automatically positioned a little ways ahead of them so I could talk to them again. And I kept offering them, you know, you could sing the NUUU, you know, you could do better, you know, and so on and so forth. And he really wasn't having it, he or she. They were just walking off, kind of stomping away, looking down at the ground. And then Rebazar appeared on my left-hand side, a little ways down the street, and he said, "Just forget it. Let them be. They're not interested." And I said, "Okay, whatever." And then I just went with Rebazar. And I guess the main idea of that is, you know, these people can do these rituals and whatever, or they can throw something at your house, or put something in your space or whatever it is, and you can find it and remove it in the physical sense. But you could even use your imagination to sort of confront these individuals, because then you're really seeing it, you know. And that's the biggest thing too, is confronting them, not like attacking them or whatever, but you know, every being is precious, you might say, so you can offer them to sing the NUUU. They're either interested or they're not. But in that confrontation, you're like taking a risk. So, you know, life supports the risk takers, and the guides are there always. And it's kind of interesting because they provide us these experiences. They help us to become aware of this, so we can face them, so we can get past them, so they don't bother us as much. Because they really used to bother me, these attacks, and there's other ones and whatever. But yeah, as you become more aware, you just decide to face it, and not emotionally react, because that emotional reaction that you have, or that resistance that you provide against it, oh, I don't like that, I don't want that, I don't, you know, you get angry and all that, you're agreeing to it, you're bringing it closer to you. That's something even Paul mentioned in one of his books. He said that your attitude about something attracts it, especially negative, because we live in a negative realm. So if you have that sort of attitude about it, you're just going to bring it towards yourself. So just learning to face it. And then that was the experience.
Does that help, Grayson? Did you get that?
Yeah, I understand. I get to the point, learning to face it. Okay.
Also, Grayson, you've come this far already, so you've been facing it, and you're okay. You've got all this technology, all the media, all the systems that is really black magic that we've been having to deal with all this time. And you've made it. You've made this far. You've become aware of what's going on. So it's a process. We just keep becoming more and more aware of what we're agreeing to, and what's being influenced by. So you're doing great.
Okay. Thank you.